For decades, the relationship between NVIDIA and the public was a simple, mutually beneficial agreement. We bought their graphics cards to play games, edit videos, and explore digital worlds, and in return, they pushed the boundaries of what home computing could achieve. But that agreement has been torn up. We are now witnessing the rise of a new world superpower, not a nation-state, but a corporation that has successfully cornered the market on the most valuable resource of the 21st century, compute. And as NVIDIA ascends to this throne of silicon, the normal people who built their empire are the ones left suffering in the shadows of the global AI gold rush. The current state of the market is nothing short of a silicon famine. It is a shortage that goes far beyond a simple lack of stock on a shelf. It is a fundamental shift in who technology is built for. If you have tried to upgrade your computer recently, you have felt the sting of this new reality. Graphics cards that used to be affordable hobbyist components have become luxury assets. But why? The answer lies in NVIDIA's pivot to artificial intelligence. Every single wafer of silicon that could have been used to make a reasonably priced gaming GPU for a student or a casual creator is instead being diverted to create AI behemoths like the H100 and the Blackwell B200. These chips don't sell for $500, they sell for $40,000. In the cold, hard logic of the boardroom, the normal person simply doesn't matter anymore. You are competing for resources against the wealthiest entities in human history, Google, Microsoft, and Meta, and in that competition, the consumer is destined to lose. This suffering isn't limited to the GPU market. It has bled into the very memory that makes our computers function. We are currently facing a massive RAM crisis, and it is a direct side effect of the AI boom. To make their AI chips fast enough to train models like ChatGPT, NVIDIA requires a specialized type of memory called high bandwidth memory, or HBM. The demand for HBM is so insatiable that it has forced the world's leading memory manufacturers to retool their entire production lines. Every hour spent manufacturing HBM for an NVIDIA data center is an hour not spent making the standard DDR5 RAM that goes into your laptop or desktop. This has created a hidden bottleneck where even the most basic components are becoming harder to find and more expensive to buy. The normal person is paying an AI tax on every single gigabyte of memory they purchase, whether they intend to use AI or not. The human cost of this shortage is profound. Think about the teenager who has spent a year saving every penny from a part-time job to build their first gaming PC, only to find that the mid-range card they dreamed of is perpetually out of stock or being sold by predatory scalpers for 3 times its value. Think about the freelance video editor whose livelihood depends on their hardware, but who is now priced out of the equipment they need to stay competitive. Think about the small-scale researcher or the indie game developer who can no longer afford the tools of their trade. For these people, the silicon sovereign isn't a symbol of progress. It is a wall. It is a barrier to entry that is turning the digital world into a gated community for the ultra-wealthy. NVIDIA's dominance has also birthed a toxic scalper economy that has fundamentally broken the culture of PC building. Because supply is kept artificially low relative to the massive demand from AI firms, the few consumer cards that do reach the market are immediately snatched up by bot networks. These cards are then held hostage on secondary marketplaces, forcing normal people to choose between giving up their hobby or being exploited. The joy of building something with your own hands, of researching parts and finding the best value, has been replaced by a stressful, high-stakes race against scripts and algorithms. It is a loss of culture that NVIDIA seems perfectly content to ignore as long as their data center revenue continues to break records. But the suffering goes deeper than just the initial purchase price. Even if a normal person manages to secure a modern NVIDIA card, they are often met with products that have been intentionally handicapped. This is the era of product segmentation used as a weapon. NVIDIA frequently limits the amount of video RAM or VRAM on their consumer cards. Why? to ensure that these cards are good enough for games but not good enough for serious AI work. This forces professionals and small businesses to pay 10 times the price for enterprise versions of nearly identical hardware. It is a deliberate throttling of potential that hurts the prosumer and the creative professional, ensuring that no one can build their own AI revolution in their garage. The Silicon sovereign wants to make sure that if you want to use the power of the future, you have to rent it from them or their corporate partners at a premium. This bottleneck is also a geopolitical powder keg. We are currently in the middle of a global chip war, where the US and China are fighting for control over NVIDIA's output. Because these chips are now essential for national security and military AI, they have become instruments of diplomacy and blockade. But while governments argue over export controls and trade bans, the normal person is caught in the crossfire. In many parts of the world, the shortage is even more acute because of these geopolitical games. The Silicon Shield of Taiwan, where these chips are manufactured, is the only thing standing between a functioning tech market and a total global collapse. The fragility of this system is terrifying. We have built our entire modern civilization on a single supply chain that is currently being stretched to its breaking point by one company's ambition. And then there is the energy cost. We are living through a period of rising electricity prices, yet modern GPUs have become power-hungry monsters. The latest flagship cards require massive power supplies and generate enough heat to turn a bedroom into a furnace. This isn't just an engineering choice. It is a side effect of the performance at any cost mindset driven by the AI race. For the average household, the cost of running a high-end PC has become a significant monthly expense. The compute tax isn't just paid at the checkout counter. It's paid every time the utility bill arrives. It is another way in which the hobby of high-performance computing is being slowly stripped away from the middle class. As NVIDIA moves toward the launch of the Blackwell architecture, the situation for the normal person looks increasingly bleak. Blackwell promises to be the most powerful AI engine ever created, which means that the demand from data centers will reach even higher levels of frenzy. We are entering a cycle of permanent shortage, where the consumer will always be the last in line. Jensen Huang often speaks of a new industrial revolution, but he rarely mentions that in the first industrial revolution, it was the workers and the common people who bore the brunt of the displacement and the hardship. Today, we are seeing a digital version of that same story. The question we are left with is, what happens to a society when the power of thought and creation is monopolized by a single provider? We are rapidly moving toward a state of Silicon Feudalism, where we are no longer owners of our technology, but tenants. We pay rent to the cloud providers, we pay a premium for hardware that is intentionally limited, and we suffer through shortages that are the direct result of corporate greed. NVIDIA has become a superpower, but it is a superpower that has forgotten its roots. It has forgotten the gamers who stayed loyal during the lean years, the artists who used their cards to define a new medium, and the normal people who simply wanted to be a part of the future. In conclusion, the rise of NVIDIA as a world superpower is not a story of triumphant innovation alone. It is a story of a bottleneck that is strangling the dreams of millions. The GPU and RAM shortages are not just market fluctuations. They are the physical manifestation of a world that has lost its balance. As we look at the glowing lights of the massive data centers being built across the globe, we must remember the people sitting in front of empty desks, unable to afford the silicon they need to participate in the world. The Silicon sovereign may have the power, but it is the people who have the passion, and right now, that passion is being tested like never before. Thank you for watching.